Yes. So another question that I have here is, are there things at home personally that you won't do at work?
Are there things at home personally that I won't do at work?
Yeah, I guess it kind of comes down to also like being in a relationship or dating, and then also like being able to perform and do certain things. Because some people, even like exotic dancers and stuff, they'll say like, I'll dance, I'll do all these things at work. But if they have a man or they have a woman or they have somebody that they're in a relationship with, they don't really do the performative stuff really with that person. They kind of have maybe a more loving or making love experience versus just the fucking or whatever.
Oh, well, I mean, in that sense, I guess it's kind of unfortunate for the partner who's like, oh, my girl's a dancer, I want to see her dance, but she won't dance for me. Like that sucks a bit. I generally, I mean, I know people want that. Sometimes they want something at home to be more special, maybe something you won't do at work. But if I'm really good at it, why don't I also just do it at work as well? Because I'm there to be performer. Like I'm supposed to be, I'm supposed to be Peter Pounder, and this is all the Peter Pounder I can be. So I'm going to be Peter Pounder at home, and I'm going to be Peter Pounder at work. I mean, at home you're going to get the more intimate side and everything, like
and the conversation and all the other things that make up you as a person.
Yeah, like we're going to eat pizza and smoke bongos together instead of just like at work where it's like, yeah, hello, hi, my name is so and so. Paperwork, okay. Testing, okay. And like now it's going to be COVID testing as well. Like it's different.
Yeah. That is interesting. So what do you say to people who say porn is giving men an unrealistic view of sex?
But I guess that's based, I mean, what porn are you watching? And also there is a lot of old stereotype, like people in the industry. So like when I said about me getting blacklisted, if I was working with that agency, it's because the people who ran the studios were of the old mindset. They're more homophobic. So I mean, I guess it depends as it changes. Now I know we have more people who develop more feminist shot porn and more ethically shot porn. So in that sense, that's good because we're gonna have more stuff that's more proper and ethical. But at the same time, if you're looking for more of the severe BDSM style stuff, and you go looking for it, I mean, you can't complain like that's out there. You're looking for it. Like that feels a need. And it's better to have two professionals working together, tested, doing these things to each other than for you to maybe go off and do it in an unsafe manner. Like sometimes people escape through what they're watching, right? They're maybe they're never going to do it in real life. They're just going to watch it.
Yeah. And adding to that part of the question, I actually posted something that I found really fun from this person called Wet and Sexy on Instagram. And it goes like this. It's like, dear men, if you're going to watch porn, at least learn from it. Sincerely, unsatisfied women everywhere. And a lot of people like that post. And I think it's creative because in the sense of the whole watching porn, there's a whole fantasy aspect to it. I mean, they try to make, realistic experiences and stuff. But the whole idea of porn is this exaggerated hypersexuality of performance, which is real. Like people go to porn to really learn, but also for that excitement or that peak of interest. So a lot of women, they feel that same view. And a lot of women, I think even some of the interviews we've had on the show as well, we've discussed it where sometimes a woman is not necessarily sexually pleased fully, or she doesn't think the man really understands what he's doing because of the influence he's getting from, for instance, like porn.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's some porn that is very unrealistic. And I mean, there is other porn that's more intimate. Like I think the companies like Sex Art or Met Art, they film very romantically like shot style stuff. So I guess it depends on, like I said, like what porn you're watching, but like a lot of it out there does give an unreal example. And then as for the whole, like how the woman feels unsatisfied and the guy's watching porn, there's a whole performative sex and there's pleasure-based sex. So I mean, I'm definitely guilty of this because I've read the dividing line and been like, oh shit, I'm always looking at
I was performing when I should have been doing pleasure.
Well, yeah, I'm always doing the performing, thinking like, like I always have to be like hard the entire time, and like if it goes down, like I gotta get it back up, and this whole like performers aspect or like vision that I had. So like you have to remember that it's not always that. Like there is more pleasure-based sex, and some of the stuff that I've been concerned about, other people haven't cared about. So yeah, just think more about the pleasure than the performing.
Right. And
sorry, let me throw a quick question in there. On Pornhub, right?
Yes.
One, you're on Pornhub.
Yes, I am.
Right. I could pretty much take from like the amount of things that you've divulged at this point. So there was a guy, I don't remember his name, but he was doing he was part of a porn company. He was the main actor, and the thing with his scenes and stuff, they were really rough. Okay, and he ended up getting banned off Pornhub and his whole company. It was a big company too.
Wow.
Right, they filmed like super high end porn.
James Dean.
Yes.
James Dean. Yeah.
Right. Like a scruffy blonde guy kind of thing.
Oh no, I'm thinking of more like he had more curly curly, shorter hair. But
well, like his thing was like super rough sex in his scenes and stuff like that. And some of the girls weren't really condoning of how rough it really got, right? Of scenes that were already out. So it ended up changing the rules on Pornhub, where like now you have to be considered, I guess, like a real content creator to be able to upload on there.
Yeah, there was the whole thing where they took down all the stuff that's from unverified users, right? So, I mean, if it is the person I'm thinking of, if it's James Dean, I know that his stuff was always more aggressive. And as it came out later, I mean, I don't know if these are all like the true facts, but it had something to do with like personal issues and, anger for women and that kind of stuff that came out through his aggression in work. Which you don't really know people. Like I used to watch this one guy in porn all the time as a kid with all these women, and then I see an interview later and find out like he hated his life. So you don't know like what's going on for like a lot of people. But for the rule change, yeah, that does happen. Like I know originally certain clip sites you had to have like a free limb if you were like tied up, because it couldn't be 100% like you're tied up for all 4 limbs.
Interesting.
So like with this, I know the Pornhub thing, because I listened to another podcast the other day about this, and I'm pretty sure it was all the unverified people got taken down, and like all the content that was from either cam girls or even big studios that was stolen was taken down. And then I know there's that whole thing with Visa pulling away because they thought there was like lots of child trafficking and sex stuff on there, but there's more of that like on Facebook than on Pornhub. Yeah. It was more about sex workers than about the actual like.
Yeah, but I know that guy and his company kind of changed the rule around, so even like the amateur stuff started to become less and all of that, right?
Hence aftercare, right? Because if the women don't really agree with the whole performance, and then he's like, I'm putting it up anyways. It's like, yeah, but I actually bled after, or like, like it was too much for me, like depending on what the person's response is to the actual performance. That just means that it's really one-sided and it doesn't seem like a mutual kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, that's why a lot of performers these days will sign the paperwork right away, but like you should maybe sign it after to agree to everything. That's what I did with mine, because there were some things that were okay and were not okay. And so then like I wasn't signing the contract till we agreed to all these things, and they couldn't post that until we sorted it.
Yeah.
So like stand your ground.
That's a good tip. But again, how do you secure the actual deal without agreeing to it up front? Because think about it. If somebody's trying to recruit or trying to hire somebody and saying, I want you for this gig for this date, you have to confirm somehow.
Yeah.
And then usually it's like you have to make sure you're checked for your sexual health. You have to make sure you go through this criteria just to get to that point. So for some people, they might not be able to go through that, but there should be maybe a clause or something kind of interjected that upon the final revision and edits, then, such and such has to be considered finally before. Because it's almost like a music video, like what we talked about a few episodes ago. Girl did music video. She was the main video girl. And then at the end of the day, family saw the video and then wanted the guy to take it down. It's like, you can't mess with a production like that.
Oh, the family seen the video and they wanted to take it down?
Because she's a more conservative type of person. So her family's more religious or whatever. And then they're like, we don't like this. And then she asked the guy to take her out of the video. Well, you can't take her out. It's not like a simple edit.
Like, why did she do that in the first place if she wasn't acceptable? Like, I know there are situations now where people can say, hey, and then you have to pretty much do like a payout fee because like you're going to stop them from making content. Like I literally know someone that did this earlier where someone had a video and they're like, I don't want that video out anymore. So they took it down and then they just paid them a fee. Right. So there's that. But there probably is ways to make your own contract or alter it so you can have the signing at the beginning and then a final sign. Or if you just don't sign until the end, they can't use that content. So they filmed, they had the camera guy, the sound guy, all these people around, and now what? They're not gonna it's in their best interest to make sure you're happy too. So
it should be considered, but there are some assholes out there, let's be legit, that they'll film and then they'll just put it up and they'll take their risk and chances because that person probably is not gonna want to go up publicly about a sex tape or, something like that. So
hence alterations to a whole website.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.